Awesome. So welcome everybody to the last session. I hope you are having a good day so far and enjoyed the other sessions. But yeah, so Josh and I will be focusing on the ultimate guide to networking and resumes. Hopefully for all of those that are freshmen, sophomores, you guys will learn a lot from this and utilize these skills through the next couple of years of your undergrad. And for those of you who missed the intros in the beginning, I'm Madhav and I'm the editor-in-chief. I'm also a senior, double majoring in finance and BAIT. And yeah, this summer I was summer an analyst in the operations business at Barclays.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joshua Schupak. I'm the tech development chair of BITS. I'm a BAIT major, going to be a senior this year. This summer, I was a fixed income intern at Sweet LLC, and I'm a professional magician.
Okay, and before we go into overview, just to get started, you see 4 points on the slide. And these are kind of the main things that you'll be focusing on in your undergrad when it comes to networking. But always keep in mind something that Josh and I wanted to really stress was that everything you do really in a way is networking. Being here in this event, for those of you that are attending, this is also a great networking opportunity. So just because you're not going into something with the intentions of expanding your network and gaining the opportunities doesn't mean that it's not an opportunity for you to also network. First, we'll be focusing on cold calling and emailing. We'll have a slide on this later on. Josh can go more into detail about that. But that's a great way to start your networking journey. There are great resources, right? You'll find people that you want to talk to and you'll just shoot cold emails, ask for coffee chats. And that's a generally really good way to start off your journey. I've done that many times. A lot of people, some people won't respond, but generally you will get a couple of responses and they can lead off to great relationships. We're also focusing on university and club events. Those are great for you to network. And of course, you have your career fairs, or like clubs will have networking events. But what you want to keep in mind is that you can generally network and gain something out of every event, right? For example, the first event that I attended was a RBS etiquette dinner. So it literally was them teaching you how to eat properly at a table and have good table manners. I just showed up for that intention, for that purpose, right? Little did I know, at my table was a first year analyst from a bank. And that was the first connection I had made at Rutgers, right? Every event that you see or posted on Handshake or wherever can lead to a great connection. So always be open-minded and join different cultural or diversity groups because those generally attract people of all different backgrounds. And it can really broaden your horizons and you can get great connections that way. Third, we're gonna talk about LinkedIn and on a more broad note, just social media as a general, right? LinkedIn is basically a database of professionals, literally listing database of professionals that you can connect to. So you just should not have a hard time finding people to connect with. You can easily search up a company name, a position, and find alumni that way. And it's also a great tool to help you cold call or send out cold emails.
Okay, middle.
And lastly, interviews. This is special. A lot of people forget about this, right? When you go and interview at a place, generally, regardless of the outcome, those 2, 3, 4 people, however many that interviewed you, they are new connections, right? You email them back saying thank you, but generally people will forget to follow up and stay in touch. You want to make sure that you stay in touch with those guys because when people say that they're open to help you, they're open to follow up with you, they really do mean that. And most people will not say no to an undergraduate, right? No one's going to deny a 10-minute phone call with an intern or undergrad. So make use of all those opportunities, right? Even if you don't hear back, you still met interviewers and you can still reach out to them.
So that's a lot of stuff packed in this presentation, and don't be intimidated if you may be a freshman or a sophomore and you think you're not ready, you don't have experience. You don't need anything to be able to do any of these things. When you're a junior and senior, yeah, you might have more credentials, more classes. There's really no point at which you can't do this. When I was a freshman, I went to a interview job fair thing. And yeah, about every single person was looking for internships, mostly that wanted juniors and seniors. So obviously I couldn't fit the bill. But, it's all about the mindset that you have. You have to come in thinking, okay, like Of course, usually people want full-time jobs and internships. If you're a freshman, you're not going to get off the, but there are internships for freshmen. There are people, and that networking is good. You know, you could network with the people and say, hey, like, I'm a freshman, I'm good at this. They can't take you, right? You're not a junior yet. But because you open that communication, you're the first person they look at when it comes your junior year. And now you're living free. You know, there's so many people that apply, and you being that person opens that up. So going these career fairs, and even if you don't or can't make it out, you have these emails, you have all these things. And like Madhav said, he went to an etiquette dinner and met a banker, right? These things, you don't expect these, you can't plan it, but being active and having that opportunity gives it to you. By having the mindset that you look for the opportunities, you'll see them when they occur. I went to a career fair my freshman year, and I never even had a job. I never worked at a summer camp. I never even worked at McDonald's. I couldn't even flip burgers. And I just, said, okay, this is a job fair. I'm a freshman. What can I do? I put together a resume. I have no job experience. What can I put? Well, what skills do you have? What do you do? What makes you unique, right? Who are you? I put it on a piece of, and I actually ended up getting an internship that year. My freshman year, I had a paid internship second semester and never had a job before. My first job was an internship. So we're going to go over the basics and really don't be scared to be yourself. If you're in a position where you're not going to get an internship, you're a freshman, you think you shouldn't. Yeah, there's no rush to get it. So if you don't get one, who cares? But if you do, it's awesome. So just be positive about it. So the first thing we're going to go in is cold emailing. So as you can see on the left here, we have a photo with those icicles because cold emailing is pretty cold. It's not very exciting, but a lot of things aren't the most exciting. And on to the right, we give you a template. So the idea is you want to keep any email and you just have to add your flair. Regardless of, you have to know who you're reaching out to and what's your purpose, right? You want to talk to them for 15 minutes. Do you want them to show you around the office? Do you want to shadow them? There's a lot of different things you can ask. Don't just be limited to talking. You could, sometimes people, you can ask them, hey, can I mirror you for a day? And sometimes they'll be like, I don't know, because it's a full day and Corona now. But other times, hey, like you'll get a whole day in an office to watch someone work right in front of you. So the idea is we want to start with the title. So make sure that your title is interesting, right? You're a random person emailing this person, but you're a person, right? You're not shadow bot monkey chip selling socks or whatever. So make sure your title doesn't say talk to me, right? Make it, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but say, hey, I want your advice on something. Hey, it's a lot of sample templates that you could use. And if you have a specific aim that you're looking for, just Google what other people, if you're a bait major and you're looking for a data analyst coffee chat with someone, look at sample emails people wrote to data analysts or ask people, the title doesn't have to be anything crazy, but make sure that it stands out. Make sure it's clear that it's a person reaching out, not just another email in flooding this person's tons of inboxes. Then you have your greeting of choice. So your greeting of choice, very straightforward. Hi, dear, whatever you want to say. Make sure you make it personal, right? Don't just say dear or hello. Use their name, right? As soon as you start a conversation with someone and you use their name, it becomes personal. If I go up to you and I say, hey, and you don't know me, then that doesn't help. But if I say, hey, Shriven, hey, Madhav, hey, Ashwar, as soon as that name is present, that person is already inclined to pay attention. And it's regardless of if they feel it or not, it's psychologically triggering them to be in tune with the conversation. So make sure that your greeting of choice isn't just a basic, but open it up, say their name, say that. Don't be afraid of who they are. Then you have the statement that provides the context in which you met or where you're asking. So if you met them, that's awesome, right? You remind them of the memory you had, bring up a fact, a detail, a little of this, give them that reminiscence of what cool person you were and continue the dialogue. If you've never met them, then, this is a spot for you to really, explain who you are. Be straightforward. Don't hide it. Don't sugar. Don't try to make it fancy. Just say, hey, I'm Josh. I'm blah, 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 or I'm doing this, this, this. I think what you're doing is really applicable to me. I really want to learn more about it. I'm very interested in the field, if you're a freshman or sophomore, or very interested. Make it more about them. Don't be reaching out saying, oh, you work at this bank, you work at this place, give me an internship. Make it more of, no, you're doing these tasks that I once want to do. Like, what hardships do you face? Just how we had the questions in the other panels for those that were there, we were really asking what their day-to-day is like. People love talking about themselves. When you're not a famous athlete, a famous celebrity, you're doing this job and it might be rewarding you and you're passionate, but there's only a certain amount of occasions where you get to really talk to people about it and explain how beautiful. The people you work with, they know what it is, right? You can't be like, oh, explain it all. They're doing the same thing. So it's kind of good for these people, like they kind of enjoy having a youngster, an eager next generation person coming to them specifically, because if they're not the CEO then they're just a regular day worker. it feels good for them to be able to have someone listening, have someone talking. So don't be afraid to say, hey, you're cool, you're awesome. What you're doing is really cool. I really hope to have a career in that. Tell me more about that. Put yourself out there, show your connection, how you guys match, right? If they're a data analyst, you're studying data analytics, make that connection, put it there, and then open that dialogue. So first you had their name, so now they're inclined to listen. Now you show that you're similar. So now they're thinking, okay, I'm interested, and this person seems cool. This person's like a mini me, right? So now they're open to hearing what you want to say. The next thing you want to do is request to meet with the person. So now you've built it up, right? You said their name, now they're looking at you. You built it up so they don't think you're just some random. They think, okay, who is this person? What do they have? And now you tell them, like, do you want a coffee chat? Do you want to ask? Don't be afraid to ask. If you never ask, the answer is always no. So now you just have to simply just put it out there. After all this, after all the information you gave them, and now that they got a sense of who you are and what you do or what you're trying to do, just tell them, would you have time for a coffee chat? Would you have time to meet up? Would you this and that? And always don't be afraid to ask. Of course, if you're cold emailing people, you're not expecting to get a response, but also remember, you're emailing people in jobs that, aren't the most exuberant. Yes, they make good money, but they're also, they're not people that walk down the street and have reporters rushing them. So for them, it feels good to have that. So there's a higher chance than you might think that you'll get a response. Even if it's no, a response already triggers a dialogue, right? If you email someone, they don't reply, okay, it happens. If you email them and they reply, sorry that they can't, they had the moment, the respect, I guess, to respond. And that's good, right? Think about it. They're so busy. They're doing all the stuff. They didn't just ignore you. They actually responded. That's a dialogue in and of itself, because now you have that communication. If they didn't feel you were worth any attention, they wouldn't have even responded. So don't take a response that's a no as a negative. Take those positive because they responded. Now use that leverage to continue. Think about how, and that's a little more tricky and detailed. So I won't go into that because we're giving the general frame. But just so you know, if you email someone and they say no, think about it as in the sense that they replied. What can you do with the fact that they chose to reply to you as opposed to just ignore it because they're busy, right? And then the last thing is obviously your closing of choice. You can't just throw out everything there and just say, hey, can we meet? Make it unique. Again, you started the conversation by saying hello, their name. Say, thank you for your time. Say sincerely, Joshua, sincerely that. Make sure it's a nice closer, right? You opened it up. You got their attention. You put it all out there. You asked for something, and now make it professional. Say bye, sincere. Don't forget to signature it, and don't forget to thank them for the time, right? Because if they're reading that email, right, that's already a big deal for you. So make sure that you thank them. Make sure that you close it. Make sure that you have that whole structure. It's like an essay. You have the intro to get them going. You have everything that you're talking about, and then you have the end to remind them what it is you did and what it is you're there. I guess in the closing of choice here, you're not going to summarize everything as detailed as you would per an essay, but the idea again states that you open their attention and you close it, and now you've given them a whole email chunk full of information that wasn't short, that wasn't too long, but enough detail for them to really be like, all right, I want to see what to do with this person. So that's what we're going to do with cold emailing. That's the general format. And with every type of email, you're not going to be the first person in the world to write that kind. So if you want advice, you can just Google it. There's so many other people that have written the same emails. Just look at their formats and see how can you change it? How can you adjust it, right? It's not copying. It's everyone's doing the same thing. It's the format, right? Put your information, put you into that structure. Find a format you feel is good, that you like. Put your information in, and there you go. It's really not a crazy thing. It's not that hard, and you shouldn't be scared of it, regardless of anything.
Yeah. And we do have a few questions, so we'll get to that. But really just to add on, right? You do have to put your information, and there are templates available online. But remember this, right? Everyone you email, there could be a really good chance that they've gotten cold emails before. So make sure you somehow let them know of the value that you can add to wherever you're trying to, whatever position that you're trying to network for. That's the only way they'll generally get back to you, right? Because they probably get one of these a month, even like probably more than that, right? Make sure you put down something that's specific to you, and you're not just filling in the blanks for templates, because there are available online where you can just like literally fill in your school, your major. Don't do that. Add something about yourself on how you add value. And also, it's very common that when we start writing about ourselves, we go on and on. Don't make it too long, right? These people have busy schedules, so if they do take the time to read your email, you want to make sure it's concise and there's no fluff in it. But yeah, going on to the first question, Josh, from Shriven was, how can you network with someone who you are interviewing with?
So with someone you're interviewing with, right? That makes it a connection that's now not a cold email, right? So cold emailing is the fact that you're talking to someone that you don't know or they don't know you. If you interviewed with them already, right? They have a face to a name. They know who you are. When you reach out to them, it's not random. They know who you are. And if they don't, just by talking in the email of when you met or the interview, they're going to remember, right? So now it's, oof, my computer is dying. So now it's an idea where you have leverage, right? Now you're not just email to a name of an email. Now you're a person that they know, and because they already know you, you have that. So you use that to your advantage, right? How much easier is it to message or talk to someone once you know them? Even if you only encounter someone once, I think the majority of us would agree that it's so much easier to reach out to someone that we've met in person versus someone we heard about online, even if that encounter was short and brief.
Yeah.
So because you've emailed them, think about that. Talk about what happened in your interview. Talk about what they said. Every experience you go through is a learning thing, right? Not only did you interview for the job, you express why you'd be a good fit, but get a feel for them, right? What did they say? What stuck out to you? Bring something up about them, because they're not only gonna in an interview talk about you and why you fit the position. They're gonna tell you about the company. They're gonna tell you about the role. They're gonna tell you about themselves and what they do, right? So try to remember those things and bring that back up. If they tell you about an achievement that they personally did, like a deal they closed or a study that they got published, right? Remember that when you reach out in the email and you bring up that study, right? That's a study they're proud of. That's hard work that they put in, that they were recognized for. When you remind them of that, even if they haven't even read the rest of the email, they're already thinking back to that, the feeling of having that recognition. And now they're already in a positive mood. So you're psychologically triggering a better response for you. So you're leveraging the fact that you know them. So if you're emailing someone you interview, don't just, there's always different things, right? Maybe you don't get the interview. I mean, you get the interview, but you don't get the job or whatever it is. But that person, if they like you, they'll help you out. They'll keep you in the books. It's not just a yay or nay thing. If they say no, you're out the door. They might just not have the time for you now. It's not always personal. It's not always you didn't get it because it's you. It could be them. So keep in touch with them, right? Email them, say thank you, say this. If you have questions with them in general, that keep in touch. Still reach out. Why not coffee chat with someone that interviewed you, right? Maybe they didn't take you, but they interviewed you, and every other company in for the people interviewed are going to be just like them. So talk to them about it. See if they can help you, and then they'll feel that gratification of they helped you reach that dream. So now you have this connection, because now if you do get a job somewhere in the field after taking their advice, you can go back to them and say, hey, thank you. It really helped me. I got this job, this and this. And now you make that connection, because what if a job opens up at that first company, right? The one you didn't get. This guy knows that he took your advice. So you're cooperative. You listen. You took a good job. You have the experience. So now he's thinking, this guy became exactly the type of person I need for my company. You kept in touch with him so he didn't forget about you. Now, if an opportunity opens, he might call you and take it, or you could apply there. And now you have all this leverage. Now you know him. Now you have dialogue built, and now you even have experience to add. So there's no reason why you can't use that. That just adds so much. The fact that you just, in that 15 minutes or however long, you made so much out of it just by being persistent with it and remembering how you can use it. So take every interaction to your advantage.
Yeah. And moving on, we actually have a bunch of questions. So next question from Ashika. She applied for a fellowship and got rejected twice. And she wants to know, how can I keep improving my application and who I can talk to get an acceptance?
Okay. So with the fellowship, I'm not really familiar with the process of fellowships, but I'm assuming they're not that different from internships. So Madhav, if you know a little more, you can go into it. But rejection doesn't mean failure, right? So you got rejected twice. So maybe you never know why you got rejected, right? So maybe reach out to the people and ask for the people. Find someone that looks at these reviews, and don't ever ask why you got rejected. Make it personal, right? Talk to them. Say, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that make it more of you seeking help rather than you asking for something? Because if you're seeking help, people are inclined naturally to help others, but they don't like when people ask. So if I go up to someone and ask for things, I'm not going to get them. But if I go up to someone and ask for advice, I'm probably going to get every opinion in the world on every topic, ranging from Fruit Loops to Donald Trump, right? So look into the fellowship. Look if you can find the people that are involved in that, right? Reach out to them, talk to them, ask them questions, see if you can have a coffee chat. Don't throw all the questions in the email, because then it looks like you're just fishing for information, right? See if you could open up a dialogue with them, open up a connection. Then if they do get that coffee chat, now it's more formal, more personal, right? You meet them or you Zoom call them, and now you can talk to them, ask for advice. And because they're getting that connection with you, now they're more inclined to reveal more information, maybe something you didn't know, maybe something that helps you more. And now you use that information to change. It might not be, oh, if I add this thing, maybe if I get a certificate in Excel, like, yeah, skills and classes are good. But at the end of the day, everyone has skills and classes. That's usually not the difference. It's more a personal level. So getting that conversation going is where you could find those details that maybe the third time you apply, you get it. It's not about you per se, which obviously improving yourself, modifying it is always great, but it's always the person looking at it, right? You're only as good as they think you are, right? So if they think you're better, your chances of getting in are better. So that's why the dialogue makes it more important, because they see you as a person. You have the chance to understand, you have the chance to learn, to change accordingly, not just, on paper, what you look like. In person, who are you as a person? You get to essentially cheat because you're showing them more than just a resume and whatever other documents you submit. You're showing them you're showing that, which a lot of other people aren't. People just take it as is. They apply and they get in, they take it, they don't. No one ever really meets these recruits. So you being that recruit, taking that step further will stand you out and could help you a lot in another fellowship you find or another thing you find. So make sure, try to leverage any person you can find in any way. There's never a person you can't try to talk to. And I don't mean leverage as in manipulate. I mean, that person has knowledge that could help you a lot. Find a way to get it out of them. Find a way to get that information, right? We're data scientists. We love data, right? Go get that data.
Yeah, and honestly, if you have a specific question about your application, just reach out to us, right? Because I'm not too familiar on the whole fellowship thing. I'm very certain it's close to applying for an internship, but you could just easily reach out to us and we'll take a better look at it. Next question, Annie was just wondering what internship you got your second semester of freshman year.
So my internship I was actually working at State Farm, which is, everyone knows, is an insurance company, but it's actually also a bank. So my roles was basically, I went through training to become a certified banker, which made me legally, I had the legal ability to help people get mortgages, car loans, insurance loans. So I was doing insurance stuff. I was doing loans, mortgages. I was learning about credit. I was doing a lot of that stuff, as well as a lot of customer relations. So there's even me, right? I never had a job. I was planning to be, data analysis major, but I'm a freshman. I haven't even taken one college course yet. I had none of these skills, but because I put it on my resume, my skills, I said, hey, look, I'm a people person, right? Communication skills are great. I'm good with Excel. I put that there. I put a few skills together that I knew I'm good at, whether it's your personality or your technicals. And that was enough to get a paid internship, right? Where I was doing data analysis, where I was doing projects. I had a lot of freeway, right? I got to do a lot of different things. And I got all this freedom given to me at a time where I was just a freshman, where I thought, what can I do? Never think you can't do anything. Just put yourself in that mindset that if you get that chance, you're going to take the most of it. So go for that shot and you go through it.
Yeah. Next question was Renati. How do you maintain your network you made through coffee chats in the months afterwards, even if you didn't get the internship you wanted at your company?
Right. So the most important thing, I would say, a lot of people tell you the most important thing is a follow-up. Always follow up, always follow up, which is true. You should always follow up. But I wouldn't say it's the most important thing, because the follow-up is just more of a courtesy. Everyone follows up if they're smart, which makes you not really stand out. And if everyone applied and everyone followed up, you still aren't standing out. So you have to have a follow-up to the follow-up, right? It doesn't have to be the next day or a week, but space that. Remember that not only do you have to say thank you and that, you have to hear from them again. If you get the job, well, that's awesome. You're going to network with them when you get, but if you don't, reach out to them again. Reach out for a coffee chat. Reach out for this. Make sure, it's usually in sales, it takes like 7 or 8 times statistically before a product is sold. So the people that say, hey, do you want to buy this? And people say no, and say, oh, like, I know you didn't want to buy it then, but now it's a little better. Do you want to buy it? They're still going to get a no. And if in sales, you got to do it 7 or 8 times. Think about it. With people are the same with all the regards. Everything, regardless of all we do as data analysts with statistics and modeling and reasoning data, people aren't rational, right? They're all emotional. So you have to tend more to not the process of writing and this and that, but the idea that they're emotional beings. So they don't really think much of many things, right? You send an email, they don't think much of it. You send a follow-up, they don't think. So keeping it up, it comes to a point where they can't not acknowledge it. And how many other people, everyone's going to send a follow-up. Maybe 70% send a second follow-up. That goes to 30. Now the more you continue, now don't annoy them, right? Keep space out, maybe a few weeks, once a month. It depends on the dialogue that happens between the follow-ups. But the idea is that the more you do it to the same person, the more you are. At first you're in the top 100, you're in the top, 100%, everyone's in there, which is not where you want to be. The follow-up brings you maybe the top 60%, because a lot of people really don't, and that's already. But still, top 60%, that's a lot of people, right? It's still 40% better than you. But now when you go to like the top 10%, now that's an elite group, right? Now you really stand out. Now they know who you are. Now there's no way to avoid it. So really keep with it. Every single person, trying to find a way to remember them. Keep, connect with them on LinkedIn. Have them written down in an Excel sheet or something. Have these kinds of, find out their interests. Find out ways to connect with them. Find out reasons to talk to them. Any excuse to talk to them, take advantage of it. Use it and just keep the dialogues going. It doesn't have to be frequent, but if it's still going, you stand out way more because people stop and you don't. And if you're the only one still going, how can they forget you?
Yeah. And we'll move on. We have two more questions and we'll get to those, Jay and Annie. But just moving on, social media and LinkedIn.
Wait, Madhav, you want this one?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned before, right, social media, LinkedIn, these are basically databases with a list of professionals that you can network with. If you have a specific company in mind, a specific position, or a specific industry, it is very easy for you to simply go on Google, type the company name, add in Rutgers alumni, and look at LinkedIn. You can for most cases, you can connect with people, send them messages. If not, just get their emails, right? It's very easy. If you see the company they work at, email formats are generally the same. It's usually like their last name, dot first name. If that doesn't work, just connect with them on LinkedIn. These places are very good tools for you to sort of reach out. Because what will happen is oftentimes, when you're a freshman, you don't get that FaceTime where you might have, where you might meet someone in person and then you have the opportunity to follow up. You're just a freshman. There's not that many events just off the bat, right? So use LinkedIn and make sure you make a LinkedIn account early. I know myself, I think I made my LinkedIn account like halfway into freshman year, or even later than that, right? And I regretted that because once you go on and you have your account set up nicely, you have your nice profile picture, you see exactly what's available to you. Whatever your interest is, there is always someone that you can hit up on LinkedIn that's sort of in the same position as you. And that's something I recommend, right? Like for me, I came into undergrad strictly focusing on tech, where I just want to do bait. Later on, I figured out that, hey, I'm interested in finance. I kind of want to combine those two and pursue that. So what I did was I found people who came in as tech CS majors or bait majors and ended up working in finance, right? Because they can relate to you. So find people that can kind of know where you're coming from, because they'll help you out more, and they'll be more happy to sort of take the time to reach out to you because they realize your position. Josh, you want to add to that?
Right. Yeah. So the social media LinkedIn is huge, right? A lot of things seem to be just LinkedIn, right? But again, a lot of people have their own lives, right? So you could leverage our generation's social media to your advantage, because you might find someone on LinkedIn, like that's professional, right? But their name is the same, right? They have one name. Maybe you find their Instagram, maybe you find and I'm not saying follow them or friend them. That's really weird. But what I'm saying is, social media is what it is, social, right? You can gather their social life. And if you can gather that link, right? You go on, say you find their Instagram and you see that they're a member of like the National Poodles Association, and you have a poodle, right? That's a really weird coincidence, but coincidence is huge, right? How many, if they're a big member, if they're a board member, let's say, of the Poodle Association, that means they're really passionate about poodles. The fact that you have a poodle, and if you have knowledge on that, that's a conversation to have. You can say, hey, like, I noticed you're the board member of this, I have a poodle. It's that, people are inclined to talk to people that they feel a connection with. So now you're not just a person reaching out to them, you're a person who's similar to them that's reaching out to them. Mm-hmm. And because of that similarity, you have that dialogue better. It's much better because they see you as one of their own, right? If you talk to someone that you feel, it's just like the way society is. If you feel someone's a part of your group or belongs with you socially, like growing up as kids, having friends, all our lives, we always accept those that we feel, fit in with us. We always hang out with the people that we have fun with. If we didn't have fun with someone, we wouldn't hang out with them, right? But if you don't have fun with that person, they just don't fit in. You fit in from those similarities, right? How many friends do you make from the things you did in life, right? The sports you played, the clubs you joined, all the BITS members you're going to love to connect with LinkedIn after this event, right? Like, we're awesome. Just, connect with us. And the idea being is that you leverage that, right? You're going to use LinkedIn to reach out to them, and you have to make your profile in that. And there's that professional standpoint of how we reach out and messaging and that, but it's also, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're data analysts. There's so much data out there. What data can you find? Google the person. Did they publish something? Is there an article? Is there something that you do as well, right? If you played soccer your whole life and their kids play soccer, they play soccer, they're a big fan. You guys support the same pro football team. You guys have the same, you guys favorite restaurants there. You're from the same town, right? Like your hometown is where they grew up or where they lived or something. Those connections can help, right? Do your research. Don't just reach out. Find that research that maybe helps you're reaching out even more effective because of that link that you find. Try to connect. How much resources are out there? There's no reason you shouldn't be able to find something. Everyone's out there. There's no one that's not on the internet. And if they're not on the internet, they're not employed probably. So you probably won't be reaching out to them anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, similarities are key. Like if you can get a similarity between you and the interviewer, especially an interviewer, that's a conversation starter right there. And a very good thing is a lot of times in interviews, what you have to do is sort of dictate your own conversation. If you have similarities, you can dodge some important and hard questions. And that's not like something that you don't know or whatever. That's just to make yourself connect with that person more. If you and another person bond over a certain, like as Josh was saying, a sport or like a pet, whatever, that's a great conversation starter. And that's how they can remember you. And not as just a interviewee that they had, but more of like, hey, this person's like, could be a cool friend to work with, right? Do your research, and if you do find something, make sure you use that, but don't be obvious about it, right? If you know someone likes a sport, just casually drop that in a conversation, whatever, and see where it goes. But it can definitely be of great help to you. Jay was asking, is it okay to connect with the campus recruiter / HR recruiter after a hire review interview, or does that come off as wrong? And quick answer, no, it does not come off as wrong. If you did a hire review interview, you can very easily just email the HR recruiter like, hey, I did the interview, it was great, thank you for the opportunity, and ask for next steps, ask for questions. That will start your networking right there. It is never wrong to email a campus recruiter or an HR recruiter. They are there to connect with you. I think, Josh, you can agree with that, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's no, if you don't connect with the campus recruiter, you're minimizing your opportunities there, because what the campus recruiter's job is to recruit you, and they're not the ones responsible to give you the job or not. They can, so by reaching out to them, they're not feeling like, if you're really push, you're that with, a manager, right? He's the one that gives the internships.
Yeah.
That could come off. If you come off to them the wrong way, it can come off. But with an HR manager, they have nothing to give you in that sense. Like, yes, they can connect you through, but they're not the ones with the power or that.
Yeah.
So by you connecting with them, you're making that personal relationship with someone in the company, and one of the best people, because they know everyone, right? Your data analyst, they have every department, every person. So not only can you connect with them, they can put you in touch with everyone from the company, versus if you're applying for a specific internship, right? That manager that can hire, he's only going to really talk to you about him and maybe his team members, if you get it, right? So that's already taking a niche of the company. By being in touch with the campus recruiter, you have the entire company, and companies are big, right? You want an internship, think about how many teams have different projects and different things. You should never ignore a campus recruiter. Always reach out to them, always talk. And if you make that relationship, it's really likely, if you're good with the campus recruiter, and they get that connection, they'll want you there. So they're not only going to push that internship you are, they're going to look for their other colleagues. You're going to say, hey, like, this one's interested. Does he have a room for you? You might even invent your own internship, right? Because sometimes internships don't, are standard, but you could, if you really have a connection with someone, you could say, hey, I would love to work under you and do some work. Even if you say for free, like, the work you'll be doing will give you the experience you need to put on your resume, do that. And you'll learn a lot. Like, if you really make connections, like, you could make your own internships. Just because someone isn't part of the intern team doesn't mean, who wouldn't want someone coming in that works hard and will do work for them, right? That's essentially what you're saying. I will do your work for you. If that's okay with you, I would love to see what you do and help you out. And for them, the workload's easier. They don't have to pay you that. And if you're willing to do that, you could make your own opportunities. It's not just about interning and seeing where it goes. You could create your own internship, and then that'll skyrocket you a lot.
Yeah. And to just end it off quickly, just think about the role of campus recruiters and HR members, right? They are there to pass your resumes on to the hiring manager. I mean, the hiring manager will then test your knowledge and technical skills, whatever that is for the position. But the first point of contact you have with any company for any position is the recruiting lead. So if you're not connected with them, you're not getting close to the manager. You're not even going to get to the next steps. So make sure you reach out to them and build a good rapport with them. And he was asking, how would you go about networking with professors? It's very easy, honestly. Go to office hours. No one goes. You're going to be the only one, and they'll remember you, like 100%. I can tell you, for most of my classes, office hours, if I went, it was just me and the professor. And if you want to network, don't even bother emailing. Just show up to the office hour. If they have like open office hours. If they don't, then ask for them. And also, make sure when you show up, you have a sort of agenda in mind. Don't show up and just say hi and wait for them to like talk to you. You should have a question or you should know what you want to talk about. But if you're networking with professors that you have, go to their office hours. If this is a professor you don't have, or say they're teaching a class you want to take in the future or next semester, just ask for the syllabus, ask about how it is, and share your goals and aspirations. Right? These professors are there to teach you and help you. They have office hours for your benefit. If you want to network, it's literally available to you.
Yeah.
Um,
And you could also, if you really are interested in what they're teaching, you could just ask them, hey, like, do you have any research opportunities I could do for you? And you could, work under them, because they
yeah,
probably, a lot, what professors do is once, especially with our industry, with data analysis and data, and basically almost all business schools, these people either work in the private sector, and then once they come to academia, now they're more research based anyway. They're getting articles published, and that's on their research. So research is tedious and it's long, and we as undergrads don't have that experience as well, and that's kind of an experience we'd want to have, is to reach. So going to them and saying, hey, can I help you out the right, you could become published by helping
yeah,
them. Like, think about that. And for them, it's, again, you reaching out and saying, like, can I work with you on this, is, if it's you really wanting to learn, right? You're not asking for money, you're not doing this, so you're building that relationship, you're building and if they take you as research, think about how many interactions you're going to have. Like, how can
yeah,
they not love you and push you out to companies for that? And you get that experience together. So yeah, go to office hours, even if you don't have any question. If you think you know what you're doing, why not?
yeah,
Suck up your pride, pretend like you don't know the answer to a question, open a dialogue, go ask one simple question as if you didn't know how to solve it. They show that, make it seem like they really taught you and you understand it better. And you even might, because sometimes we think we know the topics and we let our egos get to us and we don't get the exam. So it's never a harm to even do that. And open the dialogue, talk to them, show them this, show them that, and go from there. If you can create an idea of something, go for it, right? Be a little entrepreneurial with it. Like I said, you can create your own internship that doesn't exist. You can create your own research study that doesn't exist. Think of what you can do, how you can add value to it, and pitch it, right? You made it up. It's not like you're getting rejected. You made it up. If you couldn't turn it into reality, who cares? If you
yeah,
do, think about that. You made your own internship by yourself, and now it's something that could pursue you and push you forward in your life later.
yeah,
Be creative.
yeah. And after this, we're going to move on to the resume section. But before we do, the last question was, could you reiterate how you find college alums in your desired company? A lot of ways to do this, first of all, right? If you're asking specifically for LinkedIn slash social media, you could very easily Google, like if you have a, for example, data analyst position at a specific company, just Google data analyst at the company, Rutgers LinkedIn, right? That in itself will find you at least a few people. You can even go on LinkedIn. I believe they have filters, and you could filter by school,
Yes, they do.
right? Exactly. That's like a cleaner way to do it. Some people don't have like specific schools listed or whatever. It's fine. You could just keep like messing around with that. But even LinkedIn gives you the optionality to literally write in the position name or the company names, right? So all you do is select the company, select Rutgers. Everything will come up. And that's just LinkedIn, right? Josh was saying how social media exists. That's like other forms of social media. That's endless as well. If you look for tags and stuff, you could probably add on to that if you know more about that, Josh.
Yeah, definitely. Everything out there is that, tags, Instagram has locations. You could look at who's posting pictures from Rutgers, because sometimes,
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
alumni saying, hey, welcome back to my reunion, this and that. And, sometimes the idea is that LinkedIn's the professional way. So if you find someone on Instagram that's worth reaching out to, it might be weird to DM them on Instagram and that, but it's also not weird. It depends on what you're saying that, but the idea is that don't just be worried that, oh, like, I can't reach out to them with that. You
yeah,
find them on Instagram, look for them on LinkedIn, look for them on this, but keep all the social medias there, because if you do develop that personal relationship, then it's completely appropriate. And there's not really an ethical code for that. It's just, how could it be perceived? Is it
yeah.
professional or is it creative? And you're
Also,
being
yeah,
creative,
yeah,
but it can be perceived as unprofessional. So think about the way it comes off, and if you're worried it might not come off the wrong way, think about how to make it come off the right way. But looking through it is perfect. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have nothing to lose, right? If you hit up someone on LinkedIn and they didn't reply to you, you really just lost nothing. If anything, you know what that not to look there. It's
And
as
you get
simple as
better
that.
at doing it, right? Like
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
can't just nail your email, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't have the perfect cold email. You have to cold email a ton of times, and you know
Yeah.
anything that you do a lot of times gets warmer. So your
Yeah.
cold emails actually start getting hotter,
And
even
you'll
though
figure out what format works for you, right? You'll see when people respond, when people don't respond. And you can kind of pinpoint, okay, this format works and this format doesn't work. And just to quickly add on to that question, if you know what company that you're interested in and there's an event happening at Rutgers, there are Rutgers alumni showing up there. Like 90% of the time, if there's an event and a company is coming and speaking at Rutgers through any club, whether it's BITS or whatever, it's because they have Rutgers alum. And that's a very easy way to go and actually speak to them in person or over Zoom. Yeah. And moving on, just something I wanted to focus on was networking while working. And what we forget oftentimes is that once you get the job, that's just the beginning of your networking journey, right? Wherever you work, that's a gold mine for networking with people because people have not just, worked at your company. People come from all around, right? And once you start working, you'll start realizing that your colleagues have worked at other companies. They have connections at other companies. So it's very important to utilize that opportunity, and internships go by very quickly. Whether it's 10 weeks or even now where internships for like 6 weeks for a lot of us, 4 weeks for some of us, right? They go by very quickly. So that's why, your time management is key. Uh, it sucks to say, but when you have downtime and an internship, don't think of it as downtime, right? Use it to, well, first of all, add value to your team. But once you have done that, figure out who you want to reach out to. I know personally from my summer internship, I was working on a great team, right? I enjoyed everything, but I had some other interests as well. So I took that time to reach out to people. I got great exposure to my team from the work that I did, right? So I was very close to my direct team members. But what you have to do is reach out to individuals in other areas of interest. Okay, it's very common that you'll start working and you'll see a different team doing work that you want to be doing. Reach out to that manager and use the internship as your advantage. No one at work will say no to you. I think we can all agree if anyone have held, for those of us that have held positions in the past, if you're an intern or even like a first year analyst, people don't say no to you. Okay, you can reach out to MDs and they won't say no, they won't say no to you. I mean, their schedules will be busy, but 5 minutes is very doable. And it's far better to reach out while you're working than from the outside. Okay, and a very easy way I found to do this summer was join diversity clubs or leadership groups. Every company has a different name for them, whether it's diversity and inclusion, leadership, some sort of organization they all have. Join what you're interested in, right? And make sure that this is something you're interested in, you can add value in, and then figure out, hey, I know this is a cool person in here, let me reach out to them. And it gives you something to bond over. You can say, I noticed you were at the meeting for this club. Can we have a quick chat for 5 minutes, right? That's a very good sort of thing you have at your hands while you're working. I know that's what I did this summer, and it was very helpful. You want to add on to that, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much covered the good ideas. Is that everything is networking, and the thing about networking is you don't know what network will be the most useful to you, which is why you don't prepare for it. Just always be ready with every person you talk to in your life, every person you meet. Just don't just brush it off as an encounter. Just always keep in touch, always that, because you never know who's going to be the next, CEO at a company, who's going to start their own venture fund and need someone like you. You never know which person in that company that you're working with is going to be the one that stays in this role for 10 years or is going to be the one that takes over the company. And you could judge it all you want. You could assume you don't know anything. So make sure that every single person you talk to is a key factor. Even if it's like a janitor, always say hi to the janitor. Always say hi to everyone and don't exclude anyone.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's a very popular story where interviewers will come out to the receptionist and ask how the interview greeted them, right? That's not uncommon. It sounds like it's bizarre, but it's not. When you come in, be polite to everybody because people will ask how someone behaved when you walked in the building. That's really not uncommon. And just keep in mind that if you're interested in going to a different company, people that you work with, they've been in the industry for a while, right? And they have connections elsewhere too. If you have good connections, they'll be more than happy to develop those connections for you where you can reach out to individuals in other companies in that industry. Yeah, and moving on to our resume portion of this presentation, we kind of wanted to just give a sort of guide on a basic guide on how to like sort of structure your resume, right? You can of course change it to your own majors and whatnot, but generally they should kind of follow the same format, right? We're all undergrads. They shouldn't be more than one page, first of all. You definitely don't have like the amount of positions to make a two-page resume. So the first part, the intro, it should be simple: your name, your address, phone number, and email. And also keep in mind that whenever you send your resume, send them as PDFs, right? You don't want someone getting a Word doc and being able to change it and whatnot, right? And in this intro section, it should be very straightforward. It should be who you are, where you're studying, what you're studying, and then any relevant coursework to that position. Relevant coursework can sometimes, you can substitute that with, I guess, certifications if you want, if that's more relevant to your position. But definitely, I think, don't stick to having a subject line. I think as a freshman, that kind of made more sense to have a subject line because you don't have relevant coursework. But as you start taking those nice major classes that you actually, that add value to your work, definitely list those. People care for those, right? If you're looking for a position for a role that requires SQL, make sure you write a class that explains that you have SQL experience rather than just saying, I know SQL. And honors too, right? Any honors that you received or awards, list them here. That's a good attention grabber. People will glance over your resumes. No one reads your resume line by line, word by word. Generally, no one has time for that. So it should be very straightforward, to the point, and have any nice attention grabber honors that you may have received here.
Two no-goes for resumes is never have it more than one page. If it's more than one page, it's almost like guaranteed to be thrown out.
Yeah.
And never put a photo on it. Like, don't ever put photos of you. It's just your name.
Yeah.
No
Also, keep it black and white. There's no reason to add like colors for the most part. Like there really shouldn't be just different colors for everything.
So now we go on to the middle part, which is where you really put what you can do, right? Your work and leadership experience. So this is where you're really saying like what can you do and what you're capable of, right? So if you've had any jobs or internships, put them there and have bullets. First you need a summary sense of what you did. I was a blah blah intern doing blah blah stuff, and then be a little more specific. Like you see project one, project. What did you do? Maybe you analyzed reports in order to clear up data. You managed customer relations in order to keep satisfaction amongst the clients. You did that. Make sure that it's always a point that's saying you did A, B, or C in order to complete D or E or F, right? It has to be you did this to accomplish this. You did that to accomplish that. You did this. It's never just be like, I did Excel, I did this. No, you were working in Microsoft Excel for what purpose, right? Everything has to be this and what purposes. Don't just say you did Excel, you did this. Explain what you accomplished out of it, because there has to be a item you did and an end goal or result that you accomplished out of it. And the best thing to do is if you can quantify it, it's always better, right? Don't just say, I helped improve clients' experience. Say something like, I helped improve over 20 clients' experience, because numbers always help, right? You're in college, right? You don't need to be working with 100 people, right? Saying that you improved 15 different customers' experiences is a good thing. It's much better than saying, I just improved customers. Because what does that mean? Did you improve 2? Did you improve 5? Did you improve 10? No, I improved 15. Be specific, right? And clubs and involvement, right? Show your leadership skills, show your communication skills, show what you're capable of, right? You're in bits. If you guys run for board when you're older and you try to be as awesome as Madhav and Nunati and Bhakti and all the other ones, me, I'm on my own thing. But if you guys become like us, like you can put bits, right? You should all definitely stay in bits. Of all organizations, bits. I'm saying all organizations at Rutgers are great opportunities to put on your resume, but bits is a really good one, just letting you know. And the idea is just show who you are. You did this, you accomplished this. Show that, your work is meaningful. You've been able to do this. You accomplished this. And also put it there. If you're a freshman, right? You might have had a job, right? If you were a camp coach, right? You have to deal with the campers. You have to do that. If you worked at McDonald's, right? you managed customer service. Every single thing you did has skills that you could use, stuff you can do. So just say it, right? Show off who you are, put it there, and fit it in the resume.
Yeah, yeah, you get transferable skills for everything. And something I did when I was a freshman, right? I didn't have a lot of these like leadership experiences, and I doubt, I mean, unless you guys are like really great achievers and whatnot, I wasn't my first semester, right? I didn't have a leadership position in a club at Rutgers my freshman year. What I did have was a project I was working on in a class that I was fortunate enough to be leading a team for like a portion of the time. So I put that on my resume because they're transferable skills. And as a freshman, no one expects you to have a great position or something because they know you're a freshman. People have been in your shoes. So don't expect to, don't feel bad if you don't have like an e-board position on day one of undergrad, right? And also when it comes to listing your work and company experience, something that I've seen is oftentimes people will kind of waste, I've done this too, the first bullet sort of reiterating what they just wrote above it. You don't need to say that it was a 10-week position at this company, and you don't need to say that what position you worked again. You've already listed the company name, the position title, and your team name, right? If you're applying in the same industry, people will have an idea after they read your position title and team name and company. They'll kind of get an idea what you did or what you were there to do. Okay. Everything after that sort of just clarifies it for them. Also, when you're cold emailing, and you attach your resumes, people don't take out half an hour of their time to focus on your email and on your resume. So what you might want to do is start your sentences very concise but to the point, right? Get rid of the fluff and put down exactly what you did so they can skim over it and they'll know, okay, Excel, this is what they did. This application and this computer programming language, and this is how they used it. You really just want to get your position across. And then if you have more to explain, that's when coffee chats or phone calls come into play. But keep that in mind.
So we have a question. We have some of us have a lot of experience in many different things, and we're not sure what's relevant when applying to jobs or internships. What's the best way to filter out specific info or jobs?
I think number one, you can go into more if you know, but number one for me is you look at the job description. You look at postings that what other people are doing on LinkedIn. So many times people will post on LinkedIn what they've done in their internship programs. Just look at that and look at the description, what the description requires of you, and you can kind of make your resume to fit in for that role. If a description says it's highly technical skills focused, you can kind of leave out the soft skills then, right? Because that's what the description requires. If it requires for you to know a lot of computer programming, leave out the soft skills and replace it with all the languages you know, or the work you've done in those technical skills that you know. That's how I kind of go about it initially. And as for
Right.
the LinkedIn thing, a lot of times at the end of people's positions, right, if you've started working on your LinkedIn, you'll see at the end of the 10 weeks, they kind of say, I had a great time and this is what I did. So look at what they did, right? If you're applying the same internship, it's very easy for you to structure your resume to exactly what they did.
Right. And, even go a little further, if you're doing, let's say, a data analyst internship, right? Go to the company, look for full-time data analyst roles and look at the difference. Like what
Yeah.
is a full-time, because if you're being an intern, right, you're ideally hoping to get a job. What does a full-time worker there do? Look at those skills, because that's their job. They need that. Look at that and just ship it. So like if you're doing data analyst for, a pharmaceutical company or this, and there's certain skill sets or maybe like databases that they use specifically for their data, and you have some experience in that, put it there. Maybe like they have like their own system that's not as popular in the data world, but in that industry, you use it. Like, for example, sometimes with coding, you want to have all your languages, Python and R, but with data management systems, even one could be using a different one. Like if you have experience in two different ones, like SQL and something else, and that you see this company is more heavily focused on SQL, maybe put that don't say you're decent, you know SQL in this play, you're very good at SQL. That emphasize more what they do, because they don't want someone that's necessarily good at one or two things. They want someone that's just good at this one because they don't need the other thing, right? Think about which skill can be left out or which is less applicable, and just really highlight the ones that you do have that are more applicable. Make it seem like you're the fit for this, right? There's going to be people that have a bit of everything. Make sure that your bits are the specific bits they're looking for, because the other bits won't matter as much in that job. And then you do that. And all you just have to do is really have your resume on file, right? And it's only a few little changes. You're not going to change everything. You're still the position in this club. You're still that. It's just the hard skills, the technical skills, just change it, right? Put more emphasis on Python if it's more Python oriented, put more emphasis on database management if it's that, and just change it out. Where do you find out which tool a company uses? You just Google their full-time job, right? If they're looking for someone to work for a data analyst, they're going to say must be proficient in Python, blah, blah, blah. And if the job says you must be proficient in Python, that means they use Python.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
Some companies have their own, sorry, Madhav, just one more thing.
yeah,
Sometimes
go for it.
companies have their own, like their own language, their own database system. But if they have their own, you can just Google the company and you'll find that out. If they use
Yeah.
something standard, be good at it. If they use their own, you can just find it by finding the company.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're forgetting the key thing to this is when you're applying, you should just network, right? If you're talking to someone who's in the team that you want to be at, they'll straight up tell you. I've had people tell me like, oh yeah, that's what the description says, but this is what we really do, right? You're never going into a job where they need you, like as Josh said, you're never required to know like 20 different things. Most teams and most individuals have focus on one product or one application, whatever it is, and they'll have a very good focus on that. If you're networking before applying a position, you can easily talk to managers or AVPs, whatever it is, that work on that team that will manage interns such as yourself, and they'll very gladly they'll tell you exactly what you need or what they work with, right? Learn what they say when you ask them what do you do in your day to day, right? As they're telling you this is what I do, this is the work I have to deal with, learn about that product they work with, learn about who their clients are, internal or external, and put that on your resume when you apply, right? You should applying is it can be good and all, but you should never apply without having networked before. That's what puts you over the edge.
And lastly, you put your jobs, you put your work, and that. Now add your flair, right? Your creativity, right? What makes you cool? Maybe these are other things that aren't directly related to jobs, but do look very, very good. If you speak other languages, put them there. Even if you're not the fluent one, like as you can see, you can put conversational proficiency. So if you studied Spanish in high school for a bit, put that there. That levels you up because now you're not just someone that's done. You're decently good at Spanish, and that could be useful, even if you're not the best. If you studied a few years of a language in high school or you're still studying it in college, put that there, right? You're not fluent maybe, but conversational proficiency is good. I have that on my resume. I'm conversationally proficient in Russian, which is awesome. And then the languages I also speak. Technical skills, right? This is where you put your Python, your R, your database, whatever you have, those are just, it's kind of like learning a language. You have your programming languages. Those don't need to be explained. You should say you're good in R. You don't need to say what you do in R unless that was directly what you did in the internships, and that'll come in the middle section as you're doing. If you say you're good at R, they'll ask you. Let them wonder. You don't need to add all that because they know what R is, and if they have a specific role for you, they'll talk to you about it. And if you do it, then that'll look good. And if you don't do it, well, now you know what you need to do next. Certifications and training, if you have any certificates, courses, if you have anything validated, you put that there. Activities, right? There might be some activities that you're in a higher role involvement, which is what we mentioned earlier. Like if you're an e-board member or something, you put it there. But if you're in other clubs too, put it down, right? Like we said, we have to find that connection. So maybe you're on e-board and bits, which, is the coolest club to be an e-board for. If you go e-board for something else over bits, then I don't think you have your priorities straight. So you guys need to listen more to these talks, but just joking, maybe. And just the idea is, look, like you might be a president in one position, which is awesome. You show your leadership, and you might just be, a member in the tennis club. But if the interviewer is passionate about tennis, your connection's that tennis thing. So just because you're not on an e-board or that doesn't mean not to add it. Show you're unique. Show you want that, right? The more you have on the resume, the more likely it is to find the connection, right? So put the tennis club, put the dance club, put the other clubs you do, put whatever you can. If it doesn't fit on one page, then list a few things. You can't fit everything. Eventually it's going to get tough. Like from freshman to sophomore, things get added, things get changed, but keep it there. The more you can keep in that one page, the better. And then even your interest, right? Even if you're really passionate about something, you're doing data analysis, but you're super passionate, let's say animals, something completely, put it there. You never know. And that's unique. And you'll get asked about that. I put exotic animal specialist on my resume because I actually have a business where I deal with a lot of reptiles and amphibians. And that's just already, when people are looking at me, they're like, what is an exotic animal specialist? What does that mean? And I always get asked. And the fact that they're already asking, they're intrigued about me. That has nothing to do with the role I'm going to be doing, but I always get asked that question, right? what's unique about you. If you have a cool passion, put it there. Don't ever be afraid to express yourself, because again, a resume is just all paper, your skills and that. You want to show yourself off as best you can, and it's hard on paper. So just put yourself there. Who are you? Put it there if you can. There you go.
Yeah, your interests are a great way to sort of bring your personality out on your resume. And a clarification that I kind of had, right? I was very curious when making my resume is, why do I put my technical skills at the bottom of the paper, not at the top? Uh, so if you're curious about this, what I say is, if you're listing your languages like Python, R, whatnot, right? For the most part, your work experience should reflect what you know. Your relevant coursework should reflect what you know. Um, Things you learn on the side, of course, will be listed here. And as Josh said, if they want to ask questions, they'll ask questions. But it's fine if your technical skills are at the bottom if you have, shown how you've used some of these technical skills above. And you could just conclude it at the end. Also, when it comes to languages, just make sure you're writing how much you know, right? Don't try to don't lie on how much you know about these certain languages or technical skills, because it won't happen, but sometimes it might. They'll ask you a question about it. I had a friend who wrote he was fluent in Chinese. I mean, he was, right, so he could write it. And they had an interview on, but when they interviewed him, they got a colleague who spoke this language, and they interviewed him in Chinese. So if you don't know something fluently, don't write it, because they'll get you, right. Um, those are, when you're getting interviewed, these are professionals who have worked with that language, who have worked with that product. So if you try to go beyond your skill set or beyond your knowledge, it's very obvious. And you're not expected to know everything, right? So just put how much you know and be open to learning more. That's all that matters. Um, and yeah, I think that's basically a good way to end off your resume, right? Certifications and trainings, you should always be focusing. There are a lot of great ones. I know there's for finance, a lot of great ones for finance, and then for such as Bloomberg. I think there's a CFA Institute also has one for undergrads, not the actual CFA exam. It's a shorter exam, and it's a great training to have if you're interested in more finance rules. I know Google has their own data analytics training classes too. So if you want to get a head start and you're a freshman without much work experience, that's really great to have, and you can beat out a lot of people with those. And yeah, we hope this was helpful for you guys. Like we said, everything you do is networking, so follow us on LinkedIn. This is also a great networking opportunity. I think Unadi sent everyone's contact info in the chat, so if you want to screenshot that, you guys can, and hit us up if you have specific application questions. If you want to send your cover letter or resume, I think any one of us will be happy to take a look at it. No one's gonna say no.
And then there's the group me for any of you that are not in there. I think
Mhm.
Nadi, if you can send the link in the chat, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, yeah,
We're a community. We're a bits community. We have a lot of people, about 100 people in the group me. We got a lot of connections. You want to network? Come network with us. Come have fun. Come have a lot of time, and we'll see you guys in the chat, on
yeah,
LinkedIn, wherever you
yeah,
want. Reach out, ask any questions, and we're always happy to help.
yeah. No one's gonna say no, but yeah. We hope that helped you guys.